for this opportunity. Thank you, EFI, AEA, Vanya, for arranging this whole meeting together. I'm so excited to be here. Well, I'm one of the homegrown pastors in Heart of God Church. And for those of you who may not know, Heart of God Church, we're in Singapore. My senior pastors, Pastor Hao and Pastor Leah, started the church more than 20 years ago. And today we have close to 5,000 people in our church. And there are many young people because the average age of our church is 22 years old. And this is after 20 years of ministry. So you know what? Our senior pastors believe in building a strong generations church. So I was just going to take the next 5 minutes to share my personal journey, because personally I am a fruit of generations or what you call intergenerational leadership. You know what? I came to Heart of God Church right from the beginning. I was a 13-year-old boy, and yes, that's me. And that was how I was. I was just a young boy, no abilities. I didn't know much. But Pastor Hao and Pastor Leah, they took me in and they led me, and they were my pastors. And I remember how in the beginning, a few of us were very lost in the children's ministry because we were a little bit too old for the children's ministry, but too young for the adult ministry. And so what Pastor Leah did was that she put the 9 of us together to start the first youth ministry in Heart of God Church. And in the beginning, we were really tough. We were not easy because we refused to smile, we refused to praise God, we refused to respond whenever my pastor preaches. So we were affectionately called the 9 stones, not because we were pillars, but because we were unmovable. And so it took a lot of faith that my pastors had to believe in us and say, hey, one day you're going to be leaders. And we were not talented, we were not gifted, but Pastor Hao and Pastor Leah always believed that youths are leaders today, not just tomorrow. So they believed that we were leaders, and they believed in us and taught us and everything we knew. I remember Pastor Hao used to teach us how to play the guitar. Pastor Leah used to teach me how to preach. They brought me on my first overseas mission trip as well. And they just really believed in us in every stage of our life. And they trained me. Everything I know today was because of their leadership, their training. And more than just our leaders and pastors, but they became like our spiritual parents as well. I remember at 16 years old, I shared my dream was to be a pastor one day. And they didn't laugh at me. They didn't put my dream down, but they say, hey, we believe in you, Garrett, that one day you can be a pastor. And they just trained me and guided me and led me. And one funny story is that even when I was like 25 years old, Pastor Hao and Pastor Leah said that, hey, why don't you, Garrett, you take over the accounts department in Heart of God Church? I was like, what? I'm just 25 years old, but they said, we believe in you. But they put me in there and they guided me and they taught me. And that's how at 25 years old, I was managing a budget of like $4 million of the church finances. And I remember meeting the auditors and the bankers, and they were like, are you sure you are the one in charge of the accounts in church? But, my pastors really trained me and believed in me. They believe that youths are leaders today. And so that's why today I'm the CEO of the church, and I manage the finances in the church because I have been trained since I was young. And they remembered my dream to be a pastor. And a few years ago, they sent a group of us to study our Masters of Divinity in Oral Roberts University. So today, I'm a pastor in Heart of God Church. I'm 37 years old right now. So it's been a long journey, and thank God for my pastor's patience. So if you want to do youth and generations, it's going to take a long time. For me, it took even in my own life, more than 20 years of my pastor's patience and belief. And generations, I love it because what my pastors would teach us, Pastor and Pastor Leah, they say that generations are not replacement, generations are reinforcements. So today, I hope and I believe that I am not my pastor's replacement, but I am their reinforcements. And it didn't just stop with my generation, because in Heart of God Church, there are layers and layers of generations. And that's what the Strong Generations Church is all about. So my pastors are Gen X, right? And I am like a Gen Y millennial. So they raised me up, they discipled me. And together with my senior pastors, we begin to raise up new Gen Z leaders. And that didn't stop there as well. And recently we have launched a whole new zone of Gen A young people, a new Gen A zone of 200 people, average age 13.4 years old. And what's incredible is many of them are led by the Gen Z leaders themselves. So this is what a strong generations church is all about. And that's all the time I have today to share. And there's so much more, because it's like more than 20 years of generations. And our pastors just released a book about how to grow your church younger and stronger. I strongly encourage you to read it. It's the history, the heritage of our church, and many principles that resulted in our church today, and even me myself. So, and also I want to invite you to come to Singapore, especially when all this COVID thing is over, when you can travel once again. Come visit us. You're welcome. We will host you, and I believe you can have a great time to see for yourself what this Generations Church is all about. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Pastor Garrett. Yeah, come visit us in Singapore. Yes, okay.